Hi there, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to learn useRef hook and forwardRef in React. I'm going to explain what is useRef hook and its use cases with an example and move towards understanding forwardRef. So useRef hook allows you to access DOM element just like we used to access DOM element using document.querySelector, get element by ID or class using JavaScript. So here is an example I can show you. Here we used to do document.querySelector and we used to enter the class or ID name or by class name and by ID. So using that we used to access DOM element via JavaScript. So we don't have this method to do in React, and then React introduced later this hook called useRef hook. So useRef is a React way to access DOM element. So by writing useRef hook we can access the DOM element. So let me close this example file and let us go to this app.js file. So here you can see I have this use effect I have written here and it is logging app component render. So this use effect is going to run only that moment of time when this app component gets rendered. Okay, and we have this JSX here. So this JSX is basically having two input field. The first one is the email field as you can see, and then the second is the password, and we have a submit button. And now let me go to the browser and you can see here we have this email and password field with the submit button. As of now it is not doing anything, it is not going to work, and we are seeing this app component render because, well, it was rendering for the first time, right? And if you're wondering from where this CSS is coming, then, well, I have already written some of the CSS here, but again I don't want to make this lecture about CSS this video. And well, I just want to focus on useRef hook and forwardRef in React. So that's why I've already written the CSS. You can like pause the video and watch it. So let us quickly start with this video and then get started with useRef. So before I start with the useRef, I want to show you this implementation using useStat hook, and then later you're going to understand the importance of useRef. So let us first start with the useStat hook only. So okay. So let us quickly create this useStat hook here. So this is going to be a form data. So that's why I'm going to name this as form data only. So let me write this square bracket and let me write this as form data, and here this is going to be set form data, and I need to call this useStat hook. All right, so here we have, and it got imported. And here I need to initialize this as well. So this is going to become an object, and we are going to have this email property which is going to be empty as of now, and then the other property is going to be password which is also going to be empty, right? The initial value is always going to be empty. And now what I want to do is, as soon as user starts typing something here, I want to add those data or character inside this useStat hook. I want to update inside this form data state. So for that we have this set form data. So in order to update that data, I need to write this on change event listener here. That's what I need to do. And inside this I'm going to call a function which is going to be known as handle change. Okay, and let me write this handle change function here. All right, and this is here I'm going to pass email as in value. So right now it is showing me error, well, because I haven't defined it. So let me quickly define this handle change here. So it is going to be function handle change. Okay, so I'm going to write this in a bit different way. So here I'm just going to write this const, and here this is going to be an handle change function. So this function is basically going to be in a style of functional programming here. So let me show you. And here this is going to take name, and the other thing is this is going to take event here. Okay, not event, it is going to be event, and we are going to have this arrow here, and let me remove this and I'm going to replace this with an curly braces. So this is basically a function that we have created. So this is a functional programming style function that we have declared. So basically this is a handle change function that we are calling here, handle change, and we are passing this email as a value here, and this handle change function is calling another function, and here we are passing event as in data. Okay, so that's what we are doing here, and inside this we are going to set the state. So we are going to do set form data, and we need to destructure all the data. So we are going to do form data, and we need to update a particular data, right? So let's just say user is typing inside this email field, so I want to update that email. So in order to do that, so I need to write this curly braces, and I'm just going to say name here, okay, and I'm going to write colon here, and I'm going to say event dot target dot value. Okay, so that's all. And again, I'm going to call this handle change function similarly here in password as well. So let me listen to this on change event, and let me call this handle change, and this is going to be password. So if some of you are wondering, hey, how is this handle change function working, so let me explain it to you quickly. So as soon as user starts typing here, this handle change functions get triggered, right? And here we are passing this email as an attribute, as a parameter here, and this handle change function is going to take this email here in the form of name, and it is calling another function which is passing the event here, and this function is going to be called, and we are going to call this set form data here, and we are going to destructure all the data that was stored in the state. And after that, inside the event parameter, inside the name parameter, whatever the name that we are getting, so here we are getting email, so this email is going to come here, and we are going to change the email, or we are going to update the email. And similarly, when user is typing something in the password field, so we are going to take this password as a name, and this password is going to come in place of this name placeholder, and we are just going to update the password and not the email. So this is how this function is going to work here. Now we need one more function which is going to be an handle submit function. So let me create this function as well. So this is simply going to be handle submit. All right, and this handle submit function is simply going to log the state that we are having. So let me log this, and okay, VS Code is not supporting me, and this here I'm going to type result, and I'm going to simply log. So I'm going to say form data, so simply I'm going to log the state data. Okay, that's all. And I'm going to call this handle submit function whenever user clicks on this submit button. Okay, so I'm going to say on click, and I'm going to call this handle submit function. That's all. So now let us go to the browser and see whether it is working or not. And here if I type something, so it is updating, and let me hit that submit button, and as you can see that we are logging the state here. So let me explain you the issue here first. So as you can see that when I refresh this page for the first time, we got this app component render locked. But now as soon as I start typing something here, let me type Rajesh @gmail.com. So as soon as I type something, you can see that the app component is re-rendering again and again. In every character input, the app component is rendering, and as soon as I enter some password, so let me write it as pass, and again in every character input, this app component is getting re-rendered, and as you can see that this app component got re-rendered 20 times here. So this is a performance pitfall, right? So we don't want to store data in that way. So in order to do that, we have another option, that is useRef hook. So here we can use this useRef hook and avoid this all unnecessary rendering that we are going to see here. So let me come to the VS Code, and let me write this useRef hook and avoid this unnecessary rendering. So let me comment this out here, and let me call this useRef hook here. So as I told that this useRef hook is responsible for accessing the DOM element and storing the value, and whenever we update the value inside this useRef hook, it does not cause any re-rendering. So let us try to do that. So firstly we need to access this email field. So for that we need to create one useRef hook. So I'm going to call this as const email field. All right, and here I'm going to write it as useRef. Okay, so let me import this, and it got imported here, and the initial value is going to be empty. Okay, and again this is going to be the password field, so I need to grab the password field as well from the DOM, and that's why I'm calling this useRef hook again, and I'm going to name this as password field. Okay, and now let me look at this here. Let me show you this example here. So here, as you can see, like by doing this document dot get element by id and by class name, we used to access those DOM element, right, by JavaScript. So how do we access that using React? So it's pretty much simple. We need to add this ref attribute inside the input field. So let's just say I want to access this input email field. So here I'm just going to add this ref attribute, and that's how I can access this input field here. So this is an email field that I've created using this useRef hook. So I'm simply going to attach this email field here, and there you go. Now I can access this input field via this email field variable. Okay, and similarly, if I want to access the password field, then again I'm going to come inside this input and I'm going to add this ref attribute here, and I'm going to simply pass this password field. And now similarly, I can access this DOM element, which is a password input field, using this password field. All right, so I can even log and show you this here. So let me log the email field and show you that what are we getting here. Okay, so let me write this email field. Okay, you know what, let me log this whenever user hits the submit button. All right, so let me come here quickly, and for now I'm going to comment this out because it is showing me some error here, and let me comment this on change as well in order to remove the error. Okay, now let me go to the browser, and okay, let me close this pop-up and let me quickly refresh it. Now as soon as I click on the submit button, as you can see, I got an object which is having a current property, and this current property is having this email input field. And now if I come here and if I do email field dot simply current, then I'm going to get this input field which is a email input field. Now let me again refresh here and let me hit the submit button, and as you can see that I got this input email field. So that's how basically we access the DOM element inside the React using useRef hook. Now we can improve our application using this useRef hook. So what I can do is I just want to access the value, right? So I can simply do dot value and I'm going to get that value. So here let me write this email here. Okay, and there you go, and here I'm going to pass this here email field dot current dot value. That's all. And similarly, let me write this password here, and I'm simply going to say here password field dot current dot value. Now without re-rendering my component again and again, I can access the value of input field, which is an email field, and in the password field as well. So let me come to the browser and let me refresh. Now as soon as I type something here, as you can see, the app component got rendered only for the first time, and now there is no re-rendering happening, and I can simply type the email as rajesh@gmail.com. and similarly, if I type inside the password field my password, then again you can see there is no re-rendering, and I can simply hit this submit button and I have access to my email and password. So that's the power of useRef hook, that we can not only access the DOM element using useRef hook, we can also store the value and update it without re-rendering it. Now that we understood what is useRef hook, now let us discuss forwardRef in React. So let me continue this example and then let me try to make this code more modular and reusable. So how can I do that? So I can make this separate component using this input field. So basically I can create a custom input component here, and basically I can just import this custom input component here. So by doing so, this React component is going to become more modular and reusable. So whenever if I want to use this input field again in different component, then I can simply call this custom input. So let me do that quickly. Let me create the component, and here I have created the custom input component. Now let me cut this out here. So this is the input control that we are having. So let me cut this out and let me paste this out here. So by doing this, I have created my custom input, and let me remove these properties as well, because these are the thing that I'm going to pass as a prop. All right, and here let me call this custom input. Okay, so Let me call this as custom input. There we go. So we have this custom input. Okay, and now what I can do is I can pass these properties here as well, right? And these are the properties that I'm going to send as a prop to the custom input. And let me remove this comment here, and let me go to this custom input, and I'm going to receive this as a prop here. Okay, so let me do prop. Okay, and here I'm simply going to destructure the prop here. So this is not prop, so let me name it as props because I'm getting multiple prop here, and simply I'm going to destructure as props here. Okay, that's all. Now it should work. Now similarly this should receive the input type, class name and placeholder and everything, and here this custom input should work, right? So let us go to the browser and let me remove this pop-up. Okay, this one as well, and let me refresh here. And here we got an error, and it is saying function component cannot be given refs. Attempts to access this ref will fail. Do you mean to use react.forwardRef? So basically this error is suggesting us to use forwardRef, and why it is saying us to use forwardRef is because here if we come to our app component and we see that we are passing different multiple properties here. We are passing input type, class name and placeholder and id and everything, and we are receiving this as a prop, and we are destructuring here, and it is completely fine. It works this way, but we cannot pass this ref directly as a props to its children component from the parent component. It does not work in that way. React doesn't allow us to do so. So in order to do so, if you want to pass this ref from parent component to the child component, then we need to use forwardRef. So that's where forwardRef is used. So I can simply import the forwardRef here. So let me write it as forwardRef here, and simply forwardRef is nothing. It is simply a function that I need to call. So let me cut this out here, and let me write this forwardRef here, and I'm going to call this function. That's all. Now inside this I'm going to pass my component, and here I need to receive this ref as a separate props. Okay, and here that's why I'm going to say props comma ref. That's all. And here inside the input field I just need to say ref is equal to ref inside the braces, and now it is going to work. So let us visit our browser and let me refresh this, and as you can see we have no error here. The error is gone. And let me type the email again here, rajesh@gmail.com, and let me type the password as well. Okay, and let me hit submit, and there is no error. We got access to our email and password both at the same time without error. So now you understood what is forwardRef. So if I have to summarize, basically forwardRef is nothing. Let's just say we have a parent component, and that parent component wants to pass this ref to its child or children component. At that time we cannot pass this ref from parent component to the children component directly as a prop. We need to use forwardRef in the children component or the child component, and need to accept this ref as a separate prop. That's all, and that's where we use forwardRef. And useRef hook is nothing. It's just like grabbing the DOM element and storing the value, and if we update the value it does not cause any re-rendering. I hope now you understood useRef hook and forwardRef in React. Subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I'll see you again in the next video.